Howdy friendos, my name is Stuart, and welcome to the part of the channel where we take a look at pop culture characters and determine what alignment they are in Dungeons & Dragons. Today we'll be taking a look at the greatest Christmas movie ever made, at least according to man, children, and various sitcoms.
Now I know what a TV dinner feels like. What? It's a line from Die Hard.
It's the most important monument in all of America. The building from Die Hard.
Let Reddit fight over what qualifies as Christmas, but Die Hard is a classic that practically defined a genre of quippy tough guy action movies.
Oh. Hey, Demonac.
You alright, dude?
Yeah, I just, am I really going to review this movie because it's semi-relevant Christmas movie? I mean, what have I become, Matt Pat?
Please, you and I both know you'd give up your firstborn for those numbers.
I tried. No one at YouTube would take her.
What?
What?
Die Hard is a movie created and set in 1988 and based roughly off the novel Nothing Lasts Forever, written 9 years earlier. The movie stars Bruce Willis as NYPD detective John Mcclane.
A loose cannon cop on the edge doesn't follow the rules.
At the beginning of the movie, John is in a marriage separation from his wife Holly. She took the kids and moved out to California so that she could work for the Nakatomi Corporation. She is now a powerful and important businesswoman making considerably more money than her husband John. John, however, committed to being the head of the household and committed to being a cop in New York, drove a wedge in between them.
Which is actually one of Die Hard's strengths. It's a movie written and directed in 1988 that accurately addresses and breaks down some of the conflicts of toxic masculinity. Aren't you going to say something? You hate these kinds of talking points, right? Too politically correct or feminist and all that?
Oh, normally yes, but no, you're right. This movie just nails it. John absolutely suffers from that sort of stuff at the beginning of the movie, and it's handled shockingly well. It's expressed very clearly that he defines himself by his career and sees himself as the caretaker. He gets upset that his wife goes by her maiden name even though she has a decent reason for it, and he tries to be a dominant and in-control person in every conversation he's in. But he's not a caricature either. My problem with stuff like that is they often make these to be straw men. John Mcclane is just a cop who believes he needs to be the tough guy in every situation. And that is a reasonable and completely understandable place for him to be at the beginning of the movie.
So, lawful neutral.
I mean, I'd say so, but that's not where he ends up, right?
Ho ho ho, no.
Fantastic. You ready to start?
Yes, but before we do, let's go ahead and tell everyone the rules for this video.
Oh yeah, since this is a Christmas special, we'll only be examining Die Hard and Die Hard 2, since both of those movies take place at Christmas. We will also only be looking at Bruce Willis's character, John Mcclane. This is still an 80s action movie after all, and he is the driving force behind everything.
If you guys really like this video, we can come back at a later date and finish up the other Die Hard movies. Though, as the series stretched on, we'd probably end up phoning it in just for the paycheck.
But for now, let's go.
You always ask us so many questions, Argyle?
Argyle asks a bunch of questions, mostly for the benefit of the audience, and John here is responding kind of rudely, but not like nastily or demeaningly.
Asking that many questions to a guy who obviously isn't interested. Chaotic extrovert.
Neutral.
Pearl Harbor didn't work out, so we got you with tape decks.
Holy shit! That is a ballsy fucking line for 1988. No joke, that is akin to someone named like Muhammad Nadir saying, 2 towers wasn't enough, so we raised oil prices on top of that. Jesus, dude.
I guess you didn't miss my name, though, huh?
So John here discovers that his estranged wife is currently going by her maiden name instead of his last name. This is apparently a very touchy subject, which starts a fight. Even though we're kind of judging this by the standards of the time, this is still kind of picking an unnecessary argument. Chaotic neutral. Terrorists attack the Nakatomi Plaza. John sneaks away and tries to get back up instead of charging in like an idiot. Lawful neutral.
I'm telling you, just gonna have to kill me.
Okay.
John doesn't try to save Takagi, but from his point of view, he had virtually no warning, and he would have been outnumbered and unprepared.
But he beats himself up over it anyway. A clear sign of a good person.
Lawful neutral? So instead, John pulls the fire alarm in an attempt to get the officials involved. It unfortunately does not work. Lawful good.
Because you're a policeman. There are rules for policemen.
John kills one of the terrorists and then sends his corpse down to the lower levels as both a form of psychological warfare and a means to gain intel on the group. This is pretty fucked up, but it is an effective tactic to get them to focus on him. Chaotic good.
Mayday, mayday. Anyone copying Channel 9?
John alerts the authorities again, and you can really tell this is a pre-9/11 world. They just do not take him seriously. Lawful good. After repeated attempts to get the attention of the authorities and the fact that one cop was planning to leave, John drops a body on his car to show that this shit is really hitting the fan.
Good aim, Mcclane.
It sure got their attention. Chaotic good.
Sorry, Hans. I didn't get that message.
John continues his psychological warfare against Hans and everyone by listing their names and telling them all who he has killed. He does this to make them nervous and sloppy. Chaotic good.
You the guy in the car? What's left of him?
Giving the police all the intel about the enemy operations in order to help them solve a crime. Seems pretty lawful good to me.
For about the next 15 minutes or so, tensions escalate between the police and the terrorists. John tries his best to tell both of the cops and the thieves to chill out and not instigate things.
Man, the authorities in this film are stupid. Truly ahead of its time.
To be honest, neutral good. Pissed off at the destruction of the armored SWAT vehicle, John drops the C4 down the building in the hopes of killing the terrorist rocket team.
It's implied that he intentionally timed and or aimed the explosion to hit that particular floor? That's bullshit.
This is extremely reckless, and it's actually lucky he didn't bring the whole building down.
Chaotic good.
I've got 100 people down here, and they're covered with glass.
John gets chewed out by the police chief. He's taken none of that, though, and tells him to piss off and pretty much redistributes command to the officer he's been talking to.
Glass? Who gives a shit about glass?
Chaotic good.
John, how can you say that after all these years, huh?
A man named Harry Ellis,
Sleazy 80s business guy,
tries to mediate between Hans and John to stand down and return the detonators. John, realizing that this will result in a death sentence for Harry, tries to cut the conversation and explain that the sleazeball is full of crap, but Hans kills Harry anyway, threatening to kill more hostages. John still refuses, though. I'm just going to say neutral good, since the terrorists could likely do more damage with their detonators than just a few hostages.
Well, you want to stay alive, you stay with me.
John finds Hans wandering around upstairs on his own. Hans begs for his life, pretending to be an escaped hostage. Later, they were having a conversation where John was onto him. He hands Hans a gun without bullets in it, tricking him to reveal himself in the double cross. This deception revealed one of the bad guys peacefully without the use of force. Brilliant play, really.
If Hans didn't call for backup on his walkie-talkie, that would have been checkmate. Chaotic good. Oh right, glass.
I want you to find my wife. Don't ask me how. By then you'll know how.
I know this is 2020, and people might be tired of hearing about these sorts of things, but this is a pretty huge moment for this character. It's at this point that the toxic masculinity bit comes full circle from our intro. John fully admits that he was what basically caused the rift in his marriage. He acknowledged that he should have been more supportive when his wife started advancing more in her high-powered career, and that his marriage should work both ways. For a movie that was released in the late 80s, this is actually a huge moment for male action heroes. Disagree if you want, but this is pretty nat 20 and neutral good.
John finds the plastic explosives that the terrorists were going to use to blow up the roof and distract the FBI. He tries to alert them with the radio before being
brutal. Also, this fight got weirdly personal, with John mocking him and teasing him, saying that he killed his terrorist brother. I'd argue that this is just a tactic that he's using to make the terrorists sloppy. Plus, it's not like we're giving sympathy for thieves and murderers. This eventually boiled down to self-defense fight to the death, though. Neutral.
Seeing the hostages being herded onto the roof, which is wired to blow, John tries to send them back down before Hans detonates it. They don't listen, so he goes a little berserk with the warning shots. Chaotic good.
You got me.
John pretends to be out of options when he's about to be executed and kills Hans with the gun that he had on his back. He shoots both the remaining thieves and saves his wife.
Happy trails, Hans.
Chaotic good. At the last second, Carl emerges from the building and attempts to fire into the crowd, but is stopped by Officer Powell, completing his character arc.
All while beaten and bloody John shields Holly with his body.
Neutral good. So in this moment, John tries to get out of a ticket and getting his car impounded. I didn't notice until my second rewatching, but this is actually meant to show as foreshadowing. Since he's back in New York, it explains that John has absolutely no leverage on the New York cops or authorities despite his reputation of being a terrorist stopper. Brilliant bit of movie, but also John tries to get out of trouble in a seemingly kinda sorta shady manner. Chaotic neutral.
I zap any bastard that screws with me.
Okay, so completely unprompted, this crazy old lady just pulls out a fucking taser and shows it to a complete stranger on an airplane. Who the fuck are you, lady? Also, she carried a taser on an airplane! Pre-9/11 world was wild!
Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet.
I tried it on my little dog.
Excuse me, what the fuck? Did she just zap her dog? Someone called John Wick, chaotic evil.
Smoking in a crowded indoor space. Chaotic cancer.
John follows some suspicious people wearing army fatigues into the airport luggage area. He alerts the authorities as best he can, but still investigates on his own. This results in a shootout fight to the death to defend himself. Chaotic good.
Shut down that area and send your people in. Shut the area down. It's that simple.
There's going to be a lot of chaotic good during Die Hard 2, but it really is due to circumstance. John tried to do the right thing by alerting the guy in charge, but he was the one being shoddy at his job. John wanted to do this clean and prevent the whole thing, but due to this guy's inactions, the movie happens. Lawful good.
I don't think this one's gonna make it, boys.
After failing to convince Lorenzo to conduct a proper investigation, Mcclane does his own, grabbing improvised fingerprints of the guy he killed and faxing it to his friend in LA. Chaotic good.
Mcclane then reports his findings to Trudeau in the control center, just in time for the plot to kick off.
He has definitely leveled up since the first movie.
After being dismissed by security, John goes off on his own to try to figure out the location of the hijackers. He saves a guy in the process. After saving Barnes earlier, Mcclane gets involved in an exchange with Colonel Stuart.
Dude's got a great name, by the way.
Anyway, to punish them for disobeying him, Stuart uses his control of the air traffic control systems to crash a passenger plane, while John tries to save them by waving torches on the runway.
Chaotic good.
Freedom.
After being told to stand down, and despite warnings from Colonel Stuart, John attacks Esperanza, the dictator and bad guy that they were trying to free in the first place. It doesn't work.
How many grenades we got? 3 each. Use them.
They threw 15 grenades with the longest fuses known to man. Freezer was counting the time left till they blow.
Chaotic good. John discovers the church where all the bad guys are hiding. Despite being told to, say it with me folks, stand down, Mcclane, once the military team arrives, he finally does. Chaotic good.
John spots the hijackers getting away out the back and pursues them on his own. Since he's kind of been accepted by the troops now, this is more neutral good.
In pursuit, though, John managed to get one of their guns, allowing him to figure out that the military response unit was on the hijackers' side all along. But he had to show off the blanks in the gun in order to prove it. I'm just gonna say chaotic good.
Not getting in front of that plane. All right, how about getting over top of it?
The final scene of the movie is just utter nonsense.
What a twist!
So get this, John recruits a journalist from earlier in the movie to get him into a chopper to chase the plane with all the bad guys on board. He then leaps out onto the wing and manages to jam his coat into their gears so they can't take off. So Colonel Stuart comes out and fights John hand to hand. John manages to pry the gas cap off of the plane, which causes a line of gasoline along the ground. John gets knocked off the plane and then lights the line of gas on fire, which then trails itself to the bad guy plane. It ignites itself and causes the plane to explode. This then gives the planes in the air a clear landing path so that they can all touch down. This is so fucking stupid, it's amazing.
More nonsense than those grenades?
Nat 20 bullshit. Chaotic good.
John, why does this keep happening to us?
So that was fucking stupid, dude.
Oh yeah. But it was fun though, right?
Oh, absolutely. These movies were really fun, and I'm glad you kind of talked me into finally doing this one.
Honestly, John McClane's character goes through a real journey too in these first two movies. He starts out as a regular, apparently by-the-book beat cop, implying that he took his work more seriously than his marriage and that he was uncomfortable being overshadowed by his wife's great professional success. And the film derives a lot of its tension from that feeling of a normal guy stuck in a desperate life or death situation where his only goals are to stay alive and save his wife. Faced with death, he realizes what's really important to him, but also loses a lot of faith in the system that is supposed to protect people.
As we've seen so many times in this series, intense circumstance forged him into a new man, so that by the sequel he has become more of that loose cannon cop on the edge, action hero that we all picture now. While still willing to work with others, he just realized how some nonsense just gets in the way, and immediate action is more important than doing things right. In fact, in the first movie, he realizes why exactly certain things just aren't worth the stress or hassle. Good themes, good characters, good movies. Even the second one that jumps the proverbial shark plane.
Unfortunately, in a sense, his character grew out of that everyday guy with relatable flaws who, combined with a great script and the massive charisma of Alan Rickman's villain, made that first movie lightning in a bottle that even the best of the sequels never quite recaptured. But it was fun looking back with you. And hey, if you've been missing game nights with your friends due to circumstances, you can try to fill the void of in and out of character gaming nonsense with the animated Tales from My D&D campaign at youtube.com/Demonac.
Check out our other alignment videos, and I'll see you next time.